Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Peyton. I have been a full-time digital nomad for over a year now, traveling through Latin America. I get a lot of questions daily about how I can afford to travel the world full-time, so I thought it would be fun to just make a video on it and let everyone know how I do my budgeting and that it's not very hard and that you can too. And if you want to be a full-time digital nomad, it's really not as hard as you think. And I just want people to know that. Also, I just wanted to say a disclaimer. This is my personal budgeting plan. This is how I do it. I totally understand that this is probably not the best way to do it, but it works for me and I really like it. Also, this is my budget for traveling through Latin America specifically. I personally haven't traveled through Europe as a digital nomad, so I can't come up with a budget for that. So if you're looking for a Europe budget plan, then this is probably not the best video for you. I'm sure you guys would all love to see me while I talk about this. Not. So I'm gonna include some of my favorite footage from over the past year of traveling. Let's jump right in. As you know from the title of my video, I spend $30 a day while being a full-time digital nomad traveling through Latin America. But I wanted to rewind just a little bit. I quit my corporate job back in March of 2021.
Yes. To Peyton, quitting your job and embracing life of freedom, okay?
Yes. Obviously, I had some savings when I quit my job, and that was acting as my backbone for me transitioning into becoming a freelancer. As a freelancer, I do not make a yearly salary. I live month to month, and it all depends on what projects I pick up during those months. So my first step before entering the new month, I write down all of my projects that I have a confirmed yes on that I will be picking up and getting paid for. If I know that I'm going to be spending a little bit more money that month, then I will probably pick up another project. Sometimes that doesn't always work out, and that's not always the case. But usually before I enter the new month, I try to add up how much money I will be making for that month. And that's how I make my budget. So obviously my monthly budgets are not always the same. Sometimes I'll have one project, sometimes I'll have four. It really just depends on the month and what's out there and how well I'm doing. I always alter my budgeting plan per month. Each month I make a detailed Google sheet with how much I spend on rent, food, car insurance, phone plan, and entertainment. I split things up into what I can live without and what I cannot live without. For example, maybe this month I don't have to go scuba diving, or maybe this month I don't have to summit a really cool volcano. Or maybe I do. It really just depends on what you prioritize. So what I recommend is really thinking about what you can and can't live without and putting that into a non-negotiable bucket and a negotiable bucket. Because I love buying a $2 cappuccino every day. Literally, it's every day. That brings me more joy than literally anything else. So that's in my non-negotiable. Now for a breakdown on how I spend $30 a day. The examples I'm using are how I budgeted 1 month for Ecuador. For rent, I shared an Airbnb with my boyfriend at the time. The Airbnb was $372 per person for the month. And that was honestly because we splurged a little bit that month and got a nicer Airbnb. Usually that's even lower, but we were so exhausted that month that we just treated ourselves. So $372 divided by 31 days comes out to $12 a day for my living accommodation. Next is food. I try to have a very strict $12 budget on food and coffee daily. Sometimes it's more, sometimes it's less, but honestly it really evens out throughout the month, so I don't worry about it too much. If I spend, say, $14 on food one day, then I'll spend $10 on food the next day. So really, just trying to keep a $12 average helps a lot mentally to try to control what you're spending. My $12 a day on food could be eating out, or it could be cooking with the produce we got from the local market, or happy hour and dessert with friends. Next is my phone plan. So this is kind of hard because I could be saving a lot more money than I am. If this is something that you want to cut down your price on, then I would recommend getting a local SIM card for every country that you go to. A lot of times you can get a local SIM card for $15 and it's unlimited data for the entire month. So I could be spending $15 a month on this, but I'm not. I decided to go with the more expensive plan for the convenience of it because I am moving around so much. I have a phone plan called Google Fi. This is not sponsored, although Google Fi, please sponsor me. Basically, Google Fi is an international phone plan that automatically connects you to the fastest cellular network no matter what country or city you're in. That means no matter what country I land in that day, I will automatically have LTE and my US number, which is why I got Google Fi. Being a female solo traveler sometimes it's really hard as well, and I just want that stability of knowing that I'm going to have service in case of an emergency. So my Google Fi account cost me $57 a month. So $57 a month comes out out to roughly about $2 a day for my phone bill. So far, with food, rent, and my phone plan, we are up to $26 a day for all of my expenses. The next thing is car insurance. This is also another thing a lot of people don't have to worry about because before people travel, a lot of times they sell their cars. My car's paid off. I didn't want to sell it because it is paid off, so really the only thing I am paying for is car insurance. Since I don't drive my car while I'm abroad, my insurance lets me pause my account. In order to pause my insurance, it costs me $13 a month, which comes out to roughly 42 cents a day. Next up is student loans. See, this is the other thing is I really could have sold my car to eradicate a lot of these issues. I could have completely eradicated my student loans by selling my car, but you know, here we are. I'm 23 years old, so I am unfortunately still paying off my student loans. I pay $100 a month for my loans, which comes out to $3 a day. So my total expenses on my entire well-being for living my life is $29.42 a day. Less than $30 a day. I mean, obviously there are days where we want to do exciting excursions and do more of the expensive excursions. Or if it's pouring down rain, I'd rather taxi than walk. So those days I do go over $30 a day, but it's usually not by that much, and it usually evens out. I've really been taking a break from doing all the tourist activities that cost me a lot of money. So now I just really enjoy the culture of the city by walking from place to place and finding free activities and doing cheap walking tours, or just spending our days at coffee shops or our Airbnb and working all day. That is really the reality of my life sometimes. It can be pretty contrasting. One day I can be scuba diving with sharks, the next day I could be working 12 hours a day. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope that I could answer all the questions that you had. And if I didn't get to answer a question that you had, feel free to shoot me an email or just comment below, and maybe I'll make another video on answering those questions. I'll see you in my next video.